Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's officially the end of April now. I can't believe it's gone by so fast. I know a few people are happy about that. I kinda am too, but it's also like, so much I still have to do, just with writing and YouTube videos and all of that, so sometimes you just feel like there's not enough time in the day for some things if you keep yourself busy. But anyways, since it's the end of April and we had the 90th anniversary of Nancy Drew just a few days ago, it was April 28th. So literally just 2 days ago. So I figured I'd send Nancy off with a few of her friends. Well, an introduction to some of the other books that are similar to Nancy Drew. In a way. Some aren't quite, but some are. Anyways, so we started off with Nancy, The Secret of the Old Clock, the first ever book that started her off. So 90 years ago, on April 28th, this was published. And Nancy's come a long way, and we've had some hiccups. Some of us, I know quite a few people like the TV show, but there are some of us who grew up, with the series and reading all the books, and heck, even some of the other movie and TV adaptations are just like, this doesn't work. This isn't working. If they had actually done a different series, it would be fine. Just to let you know, some of the series that I'm going to mention, I don't have physical copies of. They are on Amazon Kindle. I do understand a few people are going on strike on that, but if it's the only place you can find something, use it. You take advantage of it, and it's pretty inexpensive. So you can get it at a great price without breaking your bank, and you can enjoy some of these stories. Anyways, so Nancy Drew, 90 years old, but she's not the only one. Following in her success, or at least trying to follow in her success, and as well as the Hardy Boys, are the Donna Girls. Yes, I'm going to be doing mostly female-led characters in this episode. I think I'll do a Hardy Boys one, because I got a few of those. Yeah, this one is going to be mainly girl-led books. So, the Donna Girls, are trying to follow in the footsteps of both Nancy and the Hardys. So the Donnas are basically, if you can tell from these pictures, this is Joanne and this is Louise. I always keep their names mixed up. I don't know. Probably because I keep thinking, oh, Joe's the blonde one in the Hardy Boys. And so, that could be Jean. And then Louise is the other name, and so, the dark-haired one who's like Frank. But I think it's actually, Jean and Louise. So, but, who knows, I might actually be right that it is Louise and Jean. Let me see. It always tells you, oh, dark-haired Louise. Oh, I was right. Yeah. Fair-haired Jean and dark-haired Louise. Okay, so I was right. So this is Jean. This is Louise. My little trick actually did work. I always seem to get the two names mixed up for some reason, even though the girls are two different characters. I don't know, it's just hard. So, yeah. Remembering that the J name goes to the blonde, and then the other name goes to the dark hair. It's been a good way to remember it. But anyway, so this series obviously is kind of short-lived in comparison to Nancy and the Hardys, but still ran for a fairly long time, surprisingly. So, if you want Nancy, like in a school life situation, check these out. I mean, I understand that the authors, because they did get the same art, I mean, obviously they used the same, used the same pen name for the Donna Girls as well as the Nancy Drew, and they used some of the same ghostwriters, but they didn't care as much for the Donna Girls as they did for Nancy. Everyone loves Nancy, and you can kind of tell it in the way the stories are written. They just liked Nancy more. Except for Penny Parker, who apparently Mildred... Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting that. Mildred Benson, I think that's her name. I'm sorry. I could look these things up before I start recording, but I want to rely on my memories. But anyways, Mildred, Benson says Penny Parker was more Nancy than Nancy. And that's one of the stories that you can find on Amazon Kindle, fairly, reasonably priced. Not have to break your bank to try and get the whole series, thank goodness. But yes, that is one of those that you can get on Kindle. So, if you're interested in reading a Nancy character who's more Nancy than Nancy herself, Penny Parker's your gal. Moving on. We have the reporter, Beverly Gray. If you wanted to follow Lois Lane, I'm sorry, I almost said Louise, still thinking of the Donna Girls, but Lois Lane, if you wanted to follow Lois Lane without Superman, Beverly Gray is your girl. She does eventually marry a pilot, so it's not far off of of a description. But yes, Beverly Gray is a female reporter who likes to go out and, solve a mystery or two. With the help of her friends, obviously. And, there's apparently one book, I haven't read it yet. And when her pilot friend, her boyfriend, I should say, gets into some trouble and she's got to bail him out. What would happen if Lois had to bail out Superman? That'd be one thing to read, that's for sure. Since Superman's doing all the bailing. But, she's a pretty good character. She kind of, based on what she looks like on the book, they were kind of going for the same look of Nancy. Reddish hair. Well, actually, I think Nancy originally was supposed to be blonde. She was originally blonde. Then she became strawberry blonde. Which kind of helped in the differentiating between her and Bess, because Bess is also blonde. Whereas Beverly Gray has always been redhead. I think she's got gray eyes, I want to say. I can't tell from this picture in the front because she's looking at the opposite direction. But anyways, yeah, I think she's got gray eyes, or blue-gray. Anyways, her description is kind of similar to Nancy's. And then someone else kind of similar. We got Kate Tracey. And that's her and her two twins, were her closest friends, Wilma and Betty. I think that is. Yeah, Betty and Wilma. Which is, twins don't have to quite to say. But again, I think this was just like the Donna Girls is following Nancy's footsteps. You've got, I think Wilma. Yeah. Except it's the opposite. That's what it is. Sorry, I'm looking at the back here. It's like, yeah. I am remembering correctly. Wilma is the dark-haired one. I'm sorry, I'm getting so out of focus on this. You're not going to see me for a little while. I'll talk behind the book. But Wilma right here, is the dark-haired, and she's the sensitive one, but she's not like Bess. She's more shy, so she's kind of a little different there. And then Betty is the blonde one, and she's a little bit more of the active one. Like, it was kind of a little bit more like George, but she's also a bit more like a social butterfly, like Bess. And then we've got Tracey. She is in fact brunette. Wilma's got black hair, and Kay is brunette specifically. And she's a lot of like Nancy, except instead of living with her dad, she's living with her mom, and her uncle is as well. So, her mother's brother. So, it's kind of flipping a few of the things around for Nancy. So, instead of a widowed father, she's got a widowed mother. And then, instead of an aunt, an uncle, the dark-haired friend is actually the one who's scared, and the blonde-haired one is, a little bit more feisty. Which is fine to me, because you always get more of the blondes who are just, squeamish and all this. You very rarely see the blondes actually being shown as fearless, if you will. But yeah. And that Tracey is, she's okay if you can get past some of the similarities, kind of the obvious similarities to Nancy Drew. And if you want someone else that's kind of similar to Nancy Drew, Kay's your girl. Anyways, moving on, we have Connie Blair. And the funny thing about this series, well, one, it's actually pretty rare. The later, at least, especially at least the majority of the series is pretty rare to find. You can always find the first 2 books easily enough. The next few books are pretty easy, and then the last ones are really, really hard to find. And you gotta, if you really, really want them, you'd have to pay quite a bit of money in order to get them. Which is why I don't have them all. So yeah, Connie Blair, she is a twin. And this is one of the reasons I was talking about with Tracey. And then Connie Blair, Connie and her twin are identical twins. So they're both blonde, they both have blue eyes, and they do have an aunt who lives in the city. And it's how Connie's adventures start. Which is, it's kind of fun. It actually is a little different from Nancy. With some of the, at least, so how some of the things go. And then, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought there. But, and Connie's a little different. But that's what it was. Okay. Found it again. This last word, the blue. Each of these books has a color in the name. So, if you like clue books and you like the color themed, this is kind of your book. They're fun, reads, and Connie is pretty smart. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, if the books themselves are kind of hard to find, but I'd say they're worth it. I have a few of the books in the series, but I've only read a few of them. Of the ones that I haven't read them all. But they're a fun read, and and it is kind of a little different from Nancy. I mean, like I said, there's obviously a few similarities. Then Nancy was the big one, and she kind of paved the way for everyone else. But even though there are a few that came before her, she still paved the way for Connie and everyone else that I've been mentioning, and will be mentioning in the rest of this video. But she does, like I was saying, Connie does have some differences, and it works. It works for her. and it's pretty good. Next up, Vicki Barr, as the flight stewardess, is one of the career women who solves mysteries. You probably will recognize the name Cherry Ames as her her other counterpart much more readily. So, I don't have the Cherry Ames book, at least the physical books. You can find those on Kindle, and they are much easier to find than the Vicki Barr series. But Vicki Barr also has some pretty good mysteries. And then I've got this one, which takes place in the South, and then I've got one that takes place in Hawaii. Both are pretty good. Vicki, uses her brains and solves quite a few mysteries, and it's in Hawaii, and the Hawaiian one, I found it to be kind of, at least trying to be educational, I guess you can say. I didn't notice that in some of the books in Hawaii. Okay, correction. The Clue of the Golden Pavilion is the only book that I've read from Nancy that took place in Hawaii. I know there is a second one, which the game Creature of Kapu Cave was based on a mystery on Maui. I'm only talking like this because it's not one of my favorite games. Primarily character design ruined that one. But anyways, I only read the Golden Pavilion, and it didn't seem to be quite as educational in comparison to the Vicki Barr, where in Hawaii, where it is, like giving you a little heads up and some of the culture of the Hawaiians, which I thought that was kind of cool. I like learning some of this. You get to learn a few new words. I was like, that's my thing. And it really endeared me to this character because she's like, oh yeah, I love learning about different people. I love, meeting new people and learning about their cultures. And it's like, that's my type of girl. That's what I like to do as well. Except I never really wanted to become a flight stewardess. And Vicky's description is probably, I'd say, the most different of the most majority of these girls, while all the other girls seem to try to be similar to Nancy. Typically blonde, kind of on the reddish side, or more red, or if they get more brownish hair, it'd be like an auburn or a light brown. Vicki is platinum blonde with, basically she looks like Elsa. So if everyone else and looks like Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella, or at least looks similar to them, Vicki Barr looks almost more like Elsa, and so she sticks out in your mind, as being quite unique. Cherry Ames is the same way. She's probably I think the only one of a main character who's got, I would say she looks like Snow White. She reminds me of Snow White, the dark, really dark ebony hair, fine features, fair features, and rosy cheeks. Seriously, that's been like the joke in the series, in the Cherry Ames series, is that people will be like, oh, you're putting too much blush or rouge, as it used to be called, on your cheeks. And she's like, no, that's natural. And so it's like, oh, we've got Snow White here, and then Vicki is like Elsa. So, platinum blonde, almost ice or almost gray eyes, and I kind of like to have that bit of a difference because they stick out more in comparison to the others, or you're just like, okay, did I just read Connie Blair or Nancy Drew? Of course you got the differences in the characteristics, and you can tell what the names are and all that, but description-wise, they do seem quite similar. Whereas Vicki and Cherry are just like, you can tell they're different. Even though they are trying to be following in the same footsteps. You know, solving mysteries, but obviously quite different. However, there is a British version of Vicki Barr, and then I have not read the books myself. And now I just lost the name of the main character. I'm sorry. I want to say her name was Sally. No. That's Sally Baxter. Sally Baxter is like the British version of Beverly Gray. She's got dark hair and violet eyes. She's trying to make her look like Elizabeth Taylor. So, you know, think Elizabeth Taylor for her. So she's kind of different. But she's in England. No, there's Sally Baxter. There's Sarah Gay, who is a model. That's also a British one. Kit Hunter is from Britain. What was... Oh my gosh. I cannot remember what it is, but there is a British version of Vicki Barr. And from what I've heard from someone else who's read both series, is that the other... Shirley. Okay, her first name is Shirley. I'm getting there. But Shirley was more accurate in terms of flight stewardship than Vicki Barr. But Vicki Barr is more interesting, which I can understand. It is more interesting. So yeah, so we've got, you know, some of that. But like I was saying, sorry, I've got so many things going on in my brain, trying to remember so much. Anyways, yeah. So Vicki Barr and Cherry Ames and Shirley. Oh gosh, why can't I think of it? Because it was one of those. Her last name is like one of those nail on the coffin type names. It's like, wow, that was so rich. You couldn't have picked a better last name. Oh my gosh, I just thought of it now. Shirley Flight. Yeah, now that I was like, yeah, that was just like, oh yeah, that was like, you know, Shirley Flight, flight stewardess. That's her name. Shirley Flight. Can't believe I forgot it because it's so freaking obvious. But it's also kind of one of those names that you're like, why'd you pick that one again? If I did forget it, it's not as memorable as a name as you think. Just like I remember Cherry Ames and Vicki Barr. I mean, heck. Oh, real quick. I just thought of another one. I mean, though I had thought of her, but I just want to mention her real quick. While the majority of these, outside of course, Cherry Ames and Vicki Barr, oh, and Beverly Gray, she is a reporter, and then Connie is going to work. But Arden Blake is a series that actually takes place in college, while most others that take place in a school setting are in high school still. Arden Blake goes to college. Actually, I haven't finished reading that just yet, and that is one of those that you can find on Amazon Kindle. All 3 books, because there's only 3 books in the series. It's like, yes! Because I seriously cannot find them anywhere else, but you can find them on Amazon. Pretty inexpensive, you know, good value. So I was like, I was able to get that. But, yeah, that takes place in a college setting, and so it gives a little bit more, something a little bit different to the Girl Detective series. You know, it takes place in college, and again, it's only 3, so it's like, oh well. And if you wanted also another different setting, sorry, I was trying to blend the 2 words into one. Mexican Mysteries for Girls. That is the series name. And it also has 3 books in that series, I think. Yeah, 3 books. And then, of course, it all takes place in Mexico. So, those, again, also found on Amazon Kindle. Good price for all 3 books. I have not finished reading them either, but, you know, that you're just like, this is something different. For me, I'm just gotta sit back and like, I gotta catch my breath, something different. Oh my gosh, I gotta, you know, relish this. But anyways, moving on to the moving picture girls. Just 2 sisters who live with their father, who is an actor. And so, you know, the moving pictures is their thing. And of course they, you know, have mysteries to solve. So whatever movie they're working on, they solve a mystery with that movie. Because sometimes the girls have a role in it, sometimes they happen in the background, and, you know, it's always something that their father gets to do. So, no, I think, because this is the first book, and I've only started reading, and I haven't read the rest of the series, but I think it's that because their father's an actor, and they start out working with him, and then they become kind of actresses in their own right, which I think is pretty cool. So you get a little taste of Hollywood, little old Hollywood in the Moving Picture Girls. And it is by, they use, like they did with the Donna Girls, they use another pen name that's become quite common, called Laura Lee Hope. This is not the only one that uses that pen name. We also have the Blythe Girls, and I have already, you know, put a review of this up on my channel. That was last month's video. Or one of last month's video, if you will. But yes, the Blythe Girls. Also, there we go. Laura Lee Hope. That's the other one. And if you're not sure where you've heard of Laura Lee Hope before, Bobbsey Twins. But yes, the Blythe Girls are 3 orphan girls who are out in the New York City and, you know, getting jobs and, you know, making ends meet and, you know, trying to follow their dreams at the same time. Helen, who is the older one, is blonde. Sort of an ash blonde-ish. Yeah, I think it was, yeah, they said she was an ash blonde. Sorry. Rose is also a blonde. Rose, the youngest, is also a blonde as well, but I think she's got a little bit of a reddish tint to her hair. But Helen wants to be a painter. Margie actually does want to be a career woman and wants to, you know, rise up and become like a CEO or something. Just, you know, rise in the ranks to the best of her ability, because this was written in 1925. Women couldn't get to that rank at that time. And so then Rose isn't quite sure at first what she wants to do, but she does have a flair for fashion. Apparently not for cooking. And, so she, So she gets a job at a fashion store and, you know, meets a couple of girls there and, you know, really works well with them. And it's also, you know, well, her boyfriend solves the mystery in this one, but eventually the girls break out and start solving their own mysteries as well. So, yeah, it's a pretty interesting book. Pretty realistic, I would say. You know, just based on my own experiences and trying to get a job and all that, I know what they're going through. There's a lot of complaints that they have that I had when, getting a job. So I just, reading this was like, yeah, I know where that comes from. So, yeah, this is a pretty actually realistic read. Almost timeless outside of the dated technology. With some of the things that they say and do and all that. So, and like I said, the complaints about, trying to find a job. So yeah, those are the majority of them. I'm trying to think if there's any others. Oh, Billie Bradley is one. Tracey Belden is another. But I do have those books. I couldn't find them. I think you might be able to get a few. Yeah, you are able to get a few of them on Amazon Kindle, but not all of them. Not all of them are available. Trying to think what else. Who else? I think it's the majority of them. So there's Sally Baxter. There's also the English ones, like I mentioned, the Sally Baxter, and Kit Hunter. Kit Hunter is a horse rider. More than a mystery solver, but she does solve mysteries as well. And there's Laura Craig, who is, I guess you can say, the American version. And from what I've been hearing, there's some Native American racism going on in those books, so I'm kind of unsure about that, but I also want to get that just to have, because I like Western stories, and so just to have that, just to have someone else to add to the list. I'll write fanfiction. I can do that and fix that real quick. But yeah, so that's, I think that's all of them. Yeah, I think so. I'm sorry. Like I said, some of them are on Amazon Kindle, and some of them I've got, sorry, I was looking at the books. Some of them I've got in the books, the hard copies, and a lot of them are on Amazon Kindle. One book of Linda Craig is on Amazon Kindle only, as far as I've seen. I might have to go on there and see if I can find any, but so far I only saw one. The others aren't that hard to find in comparison to some of these other books, like Connie Blair and the Blythe Girls. Those are pretty hard to find, and yeah, then the Moving Picture Girls aren't that easy. I've only got this one. So, yeah, that's the majority of them. Yeah, I'll have the whole list, and I'll have the whole list in the description, and I probably will add the ones I've missed. I'm thinking I might have missed one or two of them, because there's a couple that I'm thinking of that are just like, oh yeah, maybe I just like, no, that's not, because I was also thinking of Alice Roy and Susan Langen, but that's not any other different series. It's just international Nancy Drew's. Alice Roy is the French Nancy Drew, and the French translation. They renamed her to Alice Roy, and then Susan Langen is in German. So, trying to think of off the top of my head if there are any others, because I know I got Cherry Black. I'm sorry. And now I'm mixing up names. There's Cherry Ames. All of these from Kindle are Cherry Ames, Arden Blake, the mystery. I'm doing it again. Mexican Mysteries for Girls. There's one Linda Craig on there. Anything else? What else? Yeah, I'm just gonna have to put them all in the description. And of course, you cannot end any tribute to Nancy Drew without mentioning Agatha Christie, Queen of Mystery herself, and Miss Marple. Miss Marple, oh, and Jessica Fletcher, Murder, She Wrote. One of my favorites series growing up. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. But yes, Miss Marple and Jessica Fletcher. Those are the, check those out. Oh, that was the other one. There's also some, Mary Higgins Clark books that, that are pretty good. And Mary Stuart. The most well-known one, though I don't think it's as well-known anymore, is The Moon Spinners, which was made into a Disney movie back in it was in the 1970s. Haley Mills is, 16 to 18 years old in that area. Yeah, I want to say she's about 18. Because, she's like on the cusp of womanhood. But yeah, anyway, so that's that movie was made of that book, and it's an old movie that I used to watch. It was one of my favorites growing up. You can tell it's kind of dated, obviously, but it's still a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Mystery and adventure at the same. Well, it's not really so much mystery. I've started reading the book. That seems to come off more as a mystery than the movie. The movie's like, you got all the answers almost at once. So I was like, yeah, it's not much of a mystery anymore. Because only the lead character doesn't know that much, and she eventually finds out all of it is. So, well, kind of. She doesn't actually do most of the figuring out. It's the male character. And that's also because she doesn't know as much as he does. She's just kind of along for the ride and just making sure he doesn't do anything stupid. She's still kind of a pretty strong presence. But yeah, the book itself, I haven't finished reading it, but it's already coming off as more of a mystery than what the movie was. The movie was more action and suspense, but it was still pretty good. Anyway, so that was that list. So I just, check those out if you have the chance, if you're interested. If not, and you've made it this far into this video, and have seen all the other ones, thank you so much for watching. I hope you can stay around and continue to watch the rest of my videos. I'm still trying to figure out a few things and which books to review in the upcoming months. Of course, especially next month. There's a few books I have on my shelf that I'm saving for a specific time, and you'll understand when I get to them. Everything will be explained at that point. And otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you continue to watch the other ones, and I'll see you next time. Bye.